Hello, I've had a few questions about working with Google Forms. A lot of us are switching to Google Forms for some of our online quizzes. I have a couple of tutorials up on Panther Place about creating quizzes. One of the questions is how do I shuffle the order of questions without shuffling the name column within those questions? So here's kind of what happens. Um, in Google Forms, what you want to do is you want to put a section at the top for the student's name and ID number, because if you don't, you're not going to know who submitted the quiz. Now, you can collect email addresses, but then you're going to have to sort through the student IDs, and that's a pain. It's much easier if you put these fields in, as you can see on this quiz. Um, Last name, first name, student ID. Now, those of you have probably found out there's a shuffle feature up here in presentation. It says shuffle question order, which is good because then students can't go, hey, what did you get for number two? They're talking on the phone or whatever. They would have to actually do a little bit of work in order to figure out which questions match what. It would just make it a little bit harder for them to cheat. But then what happens is that if you put the name section like I have here, and then you just start putting questions under that. When you shuffle, it's going to shuffle the name and student ID throughout the quiz. So the question is well, how do I solve that problem and just keep the name section at the top, and then I'm able to shuffle the all the questions in my quiz. This is how you do that. So here's a quiz that I made, and what I did was is I created a different section for last name, first name, and student ID. So how you create sections is you click on this guy right here. It says add section, and it's going to create a different section of the quiz. So when they finish the first section, it's just going to say continue, um, and then you can go on to the next section. Well, when you shuffle these sections, they just shuffle within the section. They don't shuffle throughout the entire form. So, for example, this is the first section, last name, first name, student ID. And then this is the second section, California history. And as you can see, I put 3 questions up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to the preview icon, and I'm going to preview it. And then you'll notice right here, it says last name, first name, student ID. And then it says next. And I click next. Okay. And then you can see what was found at Sutter's Mill, what animals on the California flag, so on and so forth. Um, The first question that I have the on the editing part of the form was what animals on the California flag. So you'll notice that if I go back, okay. So if you see, I have last name, first name, student ID here, and then I have what animals on the California flag. Every time I go back up to the preview, you'll notice that the questions get shuffled. So, yeah, in the first section, last name, first name, student ID will be shuffled, but at least it'll be in one section. It won't be throughout the entire quiz or test. And then when I click next, okay, so it randomized these again. If you remember from the first time I looked at the preview, this question was in the middle, this question was at the top, so on and so forth. So that's how you're able to shuffle um, your quizzes and tests, but also leave the name fields and student ID fields at the top.